Hey there. Welcome to our program. Tonight, we have a special guest, David Sanchez.
Thank
David,
you for having
welcome.
me. Right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Great. Hey, David, uh, I, I'm not gonna lie to you. You're one of the probably most, I don't know how I say it. The word glamorous doesn't come, probably not the proper word, but the word might be popular in the media. I mean, I saw you like on TV. I saw you like a news clip. I saw you in the newspaper, and what I saw was amazing. It was you with a bunch of your students winning the city academic decathlon, and coming in first place for Grant High School. Correct?
That's
Uh,
correct, yes.
Tell me, tell the people who are watching. First off, tell us, what is academic decathlon? And it's I know people have different, thoughts of it because maybe movies have skewed them in a different direction. But share a little bit about what it is, Dave.
Sure. So basically what it is, it's a competition involved. And it's a national competition. I mean, obviously here in California, it's pretty big. So the students are basically placed in three different categories based on their GPA. So you don't just get the outstanding students, you get the average in the middle. And then the goal is to uh, answer questions in 10 specific academic subjects. And then what they do is they're assessed on that. And, basically you go through regionals and then through the district. And then we were fortunate enough to make it to state. We didn't quite make nationals, but we did really well. We finished fourth in the state, which is excellent for our school. And one thing that was a little bit different about our team is typically you're allowed to have up to nine members, and you can take the top two for each of the three students in the divisions. We only had six. And
What?
that's kind of the problem when you're living in a pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Man, the time, and
Right.
so we had the bare minimum, but luckily the kids came through.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, 10 categories. I know, as you know, I'm also a coach, but not at your realm. But David, was this your first year or your second year coaching?
First year, first year.
Is that like a record? I mean, I've never heard of somebody in the first year um, doing this. Is this the first time this has happened?
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm thinking maybe because I was naive and I didn't know what I was getting into. I think that's what I attribute a lot of success to because it's a lot of hours, a lot of work. I guess since I didn't know what was coming,
Yeah.
uh, maybe that was a plus. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was looking up my school and their progress and your school popped up. So, and I know we have the first three letters similar, Grant, and I see Grant. So I was going to ask you what's different between the online version and the brick and mortar, but this is your first foray, right? So
Well,
that's
basically, yeah.
Oh,
The big difference was basically there are certain things that couldn't be done live. Like for example, the super quiz was one thing that was eliminated. That's one of the most exciting parts, and
mhm.
kind of like a celebration where the students come in and there's a fans and hoopla, and it's the closest thing that I would say to an academic sporting event. But that was because of the situation, and then things are different is speech being delivered through Zoom. They didn't get the kids liked it because they said sometimes there's angst. You're waiting in the waiting room and
huh.
starting to sweat and perspire, and
Mhm.
then so that was I think a positive. But all in all, I think just the fact that it's online is a little bit different. It's so there's a different parameter, but the pressure was still the same because obviously you're still competing with the students with the same parameters as any other year, and basically your goal is to be above everybody else. And I think ultimately their effort, their abilities, and their commitment is really what I'll remember the most from this last year.
Are you planning on continuing? I would think. I might want to put. I don't want to course your future, David. But
Yeah.
are you going to continue doing with this next year?
Yes. Hopefully, it's a
Okay.
lot different. Hopefully, the difficult thing, obviously, of online is you want to create a family culture because
Mhm.
obviously, not only you're a team. I mean, you're almost like a family because you
Oh yeah.
spend so much time with each other, and in person, there's different dynamics to it versus online. But I think, luckily there was a strong bond. And I think that's really what ultimately pushes the students to continue to do better.
Right. And I don't want to steal ideas from you, David, but I think I will. How did you do it? Did you guys meet in the mornings? And because you're studying, you said 10 subjects, as you know, and we're not doing super quiz this year, but still 10 subjects, reading, right? I mean, English, math, science, history, art, music, so forth, speech, interview, essay. Did you meet in the morning and after school? I mean, tell me what you did, David. No, the
Yeah.
morning, after school, how did you do this?
No, so we do have a class period. So one of the things
Okay, that's nice.
we met during sixth period, so that whenever sixth period came in, that's when we would start, which is typically about 1 o'clock. And we first did like 1 through 7, 1 p.m. to 7 on those days. And the other days would be like 2:15 to 7. And then progressively, as we did different, because what we did is we cover the material more than once. So we would go through the material once, and as we go, we assess. And we really are thorough in the readings. We try to nitpick little facts and things like that. And then as we progressed, second round, now we did more time, we stayed till 8. And then as we got closer to competition, we're staying up till 9. And that included Saturdays and Sundays.
I mean, this is on Zoom, David. You're up 8, 9 o'clock on Zoom after you did a school day, David. Is this correct?
Yeah, every day. Yeah. And then it was 7 days a week.
David.
And it's funny, it got to a point where you hear their voices so much, and you're always in the computer that your family recognizes a student's voice. Your significant other passes by like, oh, is that so and so? Like, yep, it is. And it's funny because everyone, if you have the support, it works because you really need that.
Right. And so your significant other was there to kind of help you through it, huh? Because this is a first year for you. You didn't know what you were getting yourself into, right?
No, I didn't. Yeah, it's funny because you don't know what you signed up for. You're like, well, yeah, I kind of know some things. And then you really discover the academic decathlon. One of the things that is hard because as a teacher, you want to give all this background and outside facts and elaborate. You want to make it, eye-opening for them, right? And as you go through this, you realize, well, they're not going to be tested on that. They really, really specifically need to know what's in this material. And it changes year to year. One of the great things is it was the Cold War. And so I think I came in the perfect year, with my background in terms of social studies and, and economics and things like that. So that was a perfect year. It's basically knowing the material, but what was weird that I learned is you can't go beyond too much. You really got to stick to the core material if you want to be successful.
David, forgive my very naive question, but I look at this decathlon and I see certain schools doing well year after year, and but you have to remember a certain block of facts. So am I right when I say you're basically also teaching them memory skills or strategies along those lines?
Yeah, some of the things that are, it's basically learning very specific facts sometimes because they'll have a very specific number, a very specific date. And we're not talking about dates that we might all know. They're very specific dates to a reading. When was this art piece published? And
Okay.
What was the GPA growth from 1920 to 1930 States? And it's like these are really abstract facts that you need to know. And so you have to come up with a method. And for us, we didn't not just one reading. So what we do is we did in 3 rounds, and we started before the end of the school year last year, and then we went through the summer as well. And so by the time we're into the school year, we're always in the second reading. And then when we've done it 3 times, then we jumped into the power standards and things like that. And then we have some other materials like Demi Deck and other things that we utilize. So I think the hardest thing is to keep the students motivated, because you want to make sure you're doing such long hours that you can experience burnout.
What did you do to motivate that? Because I mean, I'm asking as a coach, but also because I'm in the same situation. I'm trying to get them to make sure they're on. Because to be on till 8, 9 o'clock at night, what did you do? Did you just share with them what the goal was, or what? How'd you get them on?
A couple of things I think that are important in the way that I realize that is you don't want to be the instructor. In order to really master this material, you want the students to be the instructors many times, and that's hard because I've taught for 25 years, and I'm trained like, oh, gotta jump in, I gotta tell them what's going on, and having the patience to hear them, and then we would rotate the leaders, so the students would teach the section to the other kids, and they would come up with their questions for them and evaluate them, and obviously, as we've learned, that's the highest level of learning. And also they take ownership, and the kids like that because we're in a situation, we're in a pandemic, and there's no continuity, there's no sense of pride, or and when they take ownership, you're going to be teaching this tomorrow, and they come up with their lessons and they're ready, and then and they would question each other, and then if somebody drilled you really hard, the next time when you taught, you got on them, and basically it creates an environment where every student is really doing their best. And when they're teaching the material, I think it is a really successful strategy that I would encourage other coaches to use.
Great. When you're sharing, it still was popping in my head when you said in the beginning you had 6 students. So basically, if one of them doesn't show up, if one of them says, "Sorry, buddy, I'm not doing it," that puts an end to your year, really. If you think, because that's a lot of points for one person, right? Because it's a point system, and so you sharing that, you giving them those strategies to be a leader, to do their part. Wow, that was definitely, I'm sure, a piece that really helped the team. Obviously, look at your guys' scores were so high. David, as you were doing this program this year, I know afterwards there were some cool things that happened. Can you share at least one thing that happened? You thought, well, that was great. That's kind of a cool thing that, and for the kids, for the school, for yourself, what was something that you thought, oh, this is kind of cool?
There's a lot of moments. I mean, I've been coaches in sports.
Yes,
I coached basketball, baseball, and I've done well. Luckily, we made playoffs and things like that, but never an academic place. So one of the coolest things that happened this year is Grant has a tradition that when you win a city championship, you get a banner, and it goes up in the rafters, and you'll go in there and you'll see, the champions of 1960, so forth, and 1970, and they gave us a banner. And because of COVID, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
but,
no.
It's, I mean, I saw it outside, but I haven't seen it in the gym. But it says Coach Sanchez, the team members, and it says the year. So it's cool because it's a legacy. And that's something I didn't expect. Of all the years of coaching, physical sports, now you're doing academics, and the academics is what's going to be there, which is cool because I even told my students, look, you can have younger brothers, and maybe, who knows, maybe your children one day will walk in and they'll look and like, oh, that's you, Mom, that's you, Dad, and so it's cool because, and I'll give you another one that's pretty cool is I've had academic decathlon members of Grant from the past that have reached out for us, like 91, which is funny because I'm class of 91 from high school, and I was in that competition, and they were like, oh, we're you did this, and we want to do this, and then another older class, past historian, brought us a history of Grant, and they're really, really connected, and they're really proud because it's not just what you're doing now and current students, you have a connection to a history, and people are very tied into their schools, and it is really neat to really bring that pride, not just in this generation, but connect to the past. And I think that's one of the neatest things I've seen, that I've only been in Grant 2 years. I've only coached 1 year. And it's funny how you become part of this family already through effort, and obviously thanks to the team's success.
Yeah. And isn't it great?
Also builds, I'm sorry. I was going to say, it's great that it builds that kind of culture, that academic standards is important, just as important as sports, and it sends messages to the other students. And I'm kind of getting inspired how to do some more competitions in my classroom environment, because there is something to competitions that brings out the best in kids, isn't there?
Yeah, I think, but the thing is too, it has to be a competition with mutual respect. And I think that was one of the cool things because, you know, our students did really well. And sometimes their toughest competition in terms of scoring were their own teammates. Like we had the number one student overall, and we also had the third best. And so every time they would test and like, oh, I got a 44 out of 50. Well, I got 45. Oh, man. And then the same thing with our scholastics and our varsities. They were almost the lead in each of their categories. And it would made it a unique situation where they were competing against each other. And don't get me wrong, they still helped each other. You know, but it's funny when they assessed, oh, I got to beat them. And then if they didn't, I got to read a little harder. I got to try a little bit harder. So as long as there's that respect that we're yeah, you're in competition, but you're building each other. I think that's really important too.
Oh yeah. I mean, you have these 6 kids. How many of these kids are coming back next year? Are they all
Zero.
seniors? Or?
All seniors. Yeah.
Excuse me, David. Did you say senior? They're all
gone.
seniors? Wow, Dave. So wow, the next year's
They're
gonna
all
be
seniors.
wow, it's gonna be very
whole new batch.
whole new batch. But you know what? There's a that'll be a different story too, right? A different experience. But it seems like you already create the culture there, though. I mean, so I think now they have the banner. They're gonna look at this. That's what we have to go up to, right?
And we have a trophy that's like bigger than me in the office, which that was pretty cool too. Like just things like that where that was from the district, and it's very impressive that really want to showcase the achievement that these students did academically. And the principal has been one of the biggest cheerleaders. So McMurrin has been awesome about this. So there's a lot of things that I'm very appreciative that it's not just because ultimately it's, I'm just helping, and that the kids come through on the big competitions and the events. That's what I'm proudest. Their ability shown through despite all of these obstacles, despite all these things that happen. And that's what I'm really the proudest about them.
Yeah, while you're sharing, I'm still going back to the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock because we balancing. I know you have children. We've talked, you and I. You have, I believe you have a girlfriend, correct?
Yeah, fiance.
Fiance, I'm sorry. And do you have all this going on in your life, David? I know you like sports too. Got to put that in your life. How are you able to balance it? I mean, how did you do it? Or maybe you didn't do it. I mean, tell me. I mean, let me know.
Well, one of the things is, remember, we're in a pandemic. So remember, sports kind of shut down. Mm-hmm. And so it's funny because sometimes there was nothing else. We couldn't leave anywhere. We couldn't do anything. It's like, when I go out to dinner, oh, it's closed. Do you want, I mean, so basically it's like, well, what are we gonna do? Well, let's study. Let's learn something. And at the same time, they don't have that social interaction. So we, the Zooms and things. And I'll say we had a different also way of communication that wasn't just Zoom. So we have WhatsApp, and the students,
I heard of it. Yeah.
And the students will randomly put things that are not academically related, and they would put just funny comments, things that happened in their day. We got to know their pet. They learned about my dog, and and it's just because he pops in the middle of the Zoom and like, oh, never mind, I got to take him outside. Okay, and so you kind of get connected, and it's funny because their parents too. Start learning them as well. So the extended families kind of work together, and that's what was really nice. That's how really, part of it is the situation you're in, and secondly, it was more, it's a testament to the students and the
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Looking at, I remember, Dave, as we're talking about academic decathlon, I remember back in the day. And tell me if I'm wrong. I felt like your number one subject was economics. Is that still the case?
Yeah, that's my degree.
So was that? But just by curious, was that your highest score in the academic decathlon? What was your highest, and was it if you don't mind me asking, the lowest?
No, the students. Every student has their aptitude and what they do well. And yeah, they did well in the social studies realm overall. But surprisingly, some of the highest things they did was in art and music and it's cool. And I can't take any credit for that, none. You know, except for playing a trumpet in high school. That's all I got.
That's
But I
funny.
mean, but in terms of learning the pieces and that, something that overall the students were passionate about that, and I think that's what. But you had a student that did excel in literature. One of the things that too that were really really good is their speeches. Their speeches were really well, they're really heartfelt, and they talked about their background and things. And the students, one thing I liked about them is they were willing to share emotional events, and they're very inspiring. One of the students basically grew up with a father, and one of his speeches was, you know, I want to become the father I never met. And man, was that powerful! He did it to our staff one time, and even the staff was moved because they had no clue. These students, you know, you see them doing well academically, but you know, we all carry something. You know, that's what I liked about academic decathlon, because especially the students who are with a lower GPA, it empowers them. It gives them opportunities. It gives them an ability to express, and you know, they made it to universities that maybe they wouldn't reach without their success and what they learned and what they did.
It's cool.
I like that component of letting other teachers see some of the work in terms of the creative. I think speech is a creative endeavor, and I don't do a decathlon, but I started something at my school every year called Granada's Got Talent, and it's like our students doing like a talent show, and I invite other teachers. But you're right, they don't see that side of them, the artistic side, and it's a useful thing. Is there any? I don't know if you were going to ask this, Jake, but I like to talk about this on our wrap-up show. Is there, you like, so you said economics and things of that. Is there a book that you really enjoy along that realm, or anything? Maybe a couple of books that you find yourself recommending a lot, either in any of the social studies or otherwise?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a book a couple years ago called Freakonomics. That's pretty interesting. But what I have found is you want to give people books that are more in the popular norm and that address popular issues, because it's hard to say, hey, you know, I found this great book on possibility frontiers. Wow, it's just the best. You know, I don't know if anyone's going to pick that up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the supply and demand, man, how they read surplus and shortage, it's just gonna blow your mind. And so
Very sexy.
yeah, which is something, you know, I think it's really simple. Like one of the philosophies, like I'll talk about how I teach economics, is we all do economics. We all live in this environment. So I feel my job is not to teach you, is to put terms and names to what you do when you shop, when you budget, when you pick. And so my thing is, and to also to look at things in a different perspective. I teach them a lot of hands and stuff like investment strategies, things like that. I teach them how to buy stocks and things like that. And I'm like, don't do Bitcoin, don't do Bitcoin.
Ooh, I hope my other brother's not listening to this.
Because I tell them, you know, you want to, one of the famous quotes I heard about buying stocks is a good stock should be like watching paint dry. If you want to get excitement and you want to get that rush, say take that money and put it in Vegas, and you get that instant rush. But a good stock, you know, will grow forever. That's what you want. And so it's like watching paint dry. And so I give them strategies and things like that where, you know, obviously you want to get the little rush, but then eventually they realize it's stressful. Oh my God, I'm in class, I'm thinking about my stocks. Mister, what am I doing? So, you know, just relax, it's just a game. You know? But overall, they learn strategies, and then you teach them some life skills. And you know, I've been doing this for a long time, so it's nice when you have an older student who graduated and they thank you. I'm like, you look at my portfolio, I got that. I'm like, yes, you know, that's what I like to hear. I like to hear that. So I think, and one of the things I do stock market game, and I like to invite other teachers and administrators.
Oh, wow.
Like city council members that jump in, and because it excites the kids, and then they start getting ranked by the number, and then sometimes they come in, Mister, I'm number 6. oh, oh, you're number 12. Oh, I went down to 20. Oh no, and it's funny. It's just funny to me because it's just a game. But the more they jump into it and the more practice they get, what I want to do is demystify the ability to invest. And I want them to see like, hey, this is easy. I can do this. I can do my own strategies. And that's what you want. You want
Mm,
to see. And I haven't been able to do as many of the things that I do in econ. Normally I do labs, and
mm,
one of the labs I do is called The Secret of Happiness. And I just do funny things, and just different things that I do. I teach capitalism and socialism with rock, paper, scissors. And so there's different things that you do.
right.
It's funny because the students, I'll do a lesson and they don't know what's going to happen at the end. And I like that because it really grabs their attention. And then when they see it, it's like, oh, I understand a little bit more. I get it. And so it keeps them open to trying different things. And so I always like to do hands-on. That's been limited. Unfortunately, that's one of the social factors that we're dealing with. But I still try. I try to do what I can.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah.
No, as you're sharing, Ruben and I just did an episode on our favorite apps, and a lot of the things that you're sharing regarding the stock market. Because I think there's a game called the stock market game. I think that's the title of it, right? And I know there's a
There's a
couple.
lot. There's a lot of
Yeah.
them.
But how about yourself? As you're maneuvering through this crazy time, David. Right? This is a crazy time. What? And I know we're going back to school soon. But that being said, what app did you find?
Monday.
I know tomorrow, huh? David, what are we
Tomorrow,
gonna do?
yes, yeah.
It's
I
crazy.
know.
I think Ruben's already back,
Tomorrow is
right,
like,
Ruben? I think Ruben's already back. But yeah, but is there an app that you kind of your go-to app? Like you go, this is kind of a cool app to use.
well, in terms of investments and things like that, I think what I try to tell the students is don't rely on different things. Do your research
Mm,
and look into different strategies and things like that. And it's funny because sometimes the student will get a tip and they start buying the stock, and then they ask each other, "Hey, did you hear about this stock?" And it's just basically getting them to do research, understanding where there's a reliable source versus an unreliable source. And so all of these things, it's good to let them follow. It's fine. The stocks, it's okay. They learn eventually the strategy, and this is play money. You know, so that's why I like them to really explore. But I don't tell them a specific location or app. What I like them to do is use as many resources as possible. And I think, that's what we want in life. You don't rely on one or two things.
mm,
You diversify your learning. Obviously, that's what you want. You want these kids to be critical about the resources. And it's just a microcosm. But it's funny that they react more when it's money. I wish they would react that way when it was like, hey, I don't think that quote is accurate on your literature essay,
right.
But
Right.
when you say you're gonna lose millions of dollars, you're gonna listen to me. I'll be listen. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you do, but
Yeah.
I would recommend using as many resources as possible. And anytime you're doing research on stocks, um, just to learn what's going on, what's happening. One of the things I tell the kids is if you're gonna do a major purchase, start months in advance. Start looking at it. Start shopping ahead. Understand the market. Understand what you're doing, and you make wiser decisions.
Right. Thanks for sharing that. Before Ruben has a game for us, David. Before he does that, you know what? I know you're a big sports fan because I remember you coaching basketball, right? And I think you've
Yep.
done did you do softball as well? But I know you did.
Softball, basketball,
You did it
baseball,
all.
soccer. Yeah,
What's
a
your
little bit
thought
of
of?
everything.
Are you Clipper or Laker guy?
Always Lakers.
That's what I
I,
thought.
yeah, I think it's because I'm old.
What do you think? What's your chances? What do you place? I mean, do they have a chance this year? I know a lot of injuries.
I think that's the biggest factor. It's can they coalesce? Basically, they have a lot of different components.
Mm,
Uh, and another thing too is they always say when it's very difficult to win the second championship. It's even harder than winning the first championship. So those are things that I'm concerned about, and also their age. They're getting older. Those are a couple of things that are there. But we got bigger. We got Drummond now.
yeah.
I think the center position was one of our big holes that they tried to address. There's a couple of things that we lack, like a good, strong wing defender like we had last year. Caruso's cool, but can he really stop the bigger players? But,
Yeah.
and then getting into basketball shape after an injury is tough, especially as, even LeBron's a phenomenal athlete,
Right.
and AD, those are two big guys and they've been out for a while. And you've seen how rusty AD was when he came back. It was like, it's
takes
tough.
it takes a few games, for sure.
Yeah. So I still, and the Clippers are playing really well right now.
Yeah, they are.
I think they also, I saw DeMarcus Cousins. I'm like, man, you got in shape, lost some weight, can move. He looked like 10 years younger. I was like, very nice.
Not to be too spicy, but they have a better coach, the Clippers, this year than they did last year. They smarted up on the coach, but that's my opinion.
Well, and you know what? It's gonna be. I think they might even make it more of a fight towards the end this time. I feel like they just kind of withered away the Clippers last time.
I could not get over that game against the Nuggets. The poor. I'm sorry. It just triggered me. It's like, how could the coaching was so bad, and what they were. And anyway, I was pleased that they got rid of the coach. Let's in the spirit of academic decathlon, let's have our own academic decathlon. And as you can see, I wrote the letters D and J up here.
Very good, Ruben.
I could spell David and Jacob. And I'm going to basically I'm going to read a question. And these are actual academic decathlon questions.
What?
I know. I found it on the internet, so it must be right. Right?
Nice.
Oh, Lord, help me.
So we'll go maybe best of 7,
Oh, jeez.
When I ask a question, I think for fairness, the first person to raise their hand, I'll call. Right?
All right. Okay.
Here's the first question.
Go for it.
Sounds good.
I try to do it in the era which you Cold War, that whole situation.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Dang it.
Awesome.
I love Cold War, but David they came in first place. Go ahead.
Era, but there's also some econ. Okay. I try to mix it up. Okay, here we go.
All right.
In August of 1941, who issued a joint declaration with Roosevelt?
Was it
Jacob.
Yeah. Are you talking about Britain Prime Minister Winston Churchill?
That is correct.
Oh, that was a throw.
Hail Mary?
That was a Hail Mary, brother.
Okay. Here we
At
go.
least I got one. I could say I got one.
What are the 4 freedoms?
Oh, jeez, I saw this.
The 4 freedoms.
David, I forget this one. Wasn't this under Woodrow Wilson's 4 freedoms? Because that's not Cold War, is it?
We will go on to the next question. That was a hard one. I didn't know.
Okay. I thought we were staying, right, Dave? When we're staying in the Cold War era? I mean, that seems
right.
like 19...
I thought it was Cold War, but I guess not. It's okay.
I know. Come on, Ruben.
Okay. This is Cold War era. I'll avoid the hard ones.
All right.
While staged in North Africa, what nation was the U.S. planning to invade? David.
Italy.
Excellent day. Can we just end as a tie?
Next question.
All right.
Which nation was conquered during the Winter War of 1939 to 40? Jacob.
Poland?
Wrong.
Oh, shoot.
David, do you know?
39 through 40. Finland?
Finland is right.
Oh, David, you pulled that out of your hat. That was great. I was close, Ruben. Finland's just above it. So, crap.
What was the name given to World War II by the Soviets?
Dude. I know when you're going to say it, but I can't think of it. I don't know it. I don't know.
The answer was The Great Patriotic War.
Very nice.
Okay, I didn't know.
Which
didn't.
famous artist, here's the next one, talking about art. Which famous artist worked as an illustrator for the Saturday Evening Post during World War II?
Oh no. I'll guess. Dang it! I know I'm wrong.
Go.
Was it Dr. Seuss?
Nope. David, do you know? Famous artist worked as an illustrator for the Saturday Evening Post during World War II.
I'll guess Andy Warhol. I don't know.
It was Norman Rockwell.
What?
Oh,
Are you ready?
Crap.
yeah.
Which empire collapsed during 1917? David.
The Ottoman.
Maybe.
Can I say Russia?
Russia.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
Ottoman Empire seems right though too, David, right?
That's later. Is later. That's
it's later? Okay.
Yeah. He's right.
What action did Marx believe would end the cycle of class struggle?
Wouldn't it be, I'm sorry, wouldn't it be to kick out the bourgeoisie? I mean, just to go to war with them? And I'm trying to think of the
Let me go to
wording.
David, because David,
All right.
do you think this is or do you know the answer, David? I don't think I could accept that, Jacob.
I know. I was going to keep talking until I got it right.
I know. A class of society.
But you're both kind of, the answer was proletarian masses would need to protest. But you're both right.
Maybe 0.5 each? 0.5 maybe? I mean.
You're both a point.
Oh, that's nice of you, Ruben.
Very kind. Very kind.
I'm getting a little stressed. Go ahead.
The largest single battle of World War II. Jacob.
I believe it was Stalingrad.
It was the Battle of Stalingrad. I'm so disappointed that Jacob won.
Oh, did I win?
It's best out of 7.
You're right.
I was, you know, it's so funny. I was about to say, David, he took his team. I mean, I don't know much, but you know what, David? Wow, I finally want something. I want something, Ruben. I finally want something.
No, those questions are hard. And you know what? That's really why I asked them, because those are the questions the students are getting.
Yeah.
And
we struggled. We struggled with a lot of them. It's like, wow.
And this was just one of the 10.
What? Our kids are amazing, right, David? I mean, they are just superheroes. Yeah. And geez, you know what, Dave? I just want to thank you for being on and being the coach that you were. And I need to share something really fast. I shared with my students that I was going to come and talk to you. And I said, "You guys know that he's from your school, your area?" And they're like, "Why isn't he here?" I go, "Hey, wait a minute. What about me?" They're like, "Yeah, okay." So, oh wow. But anyway, congratulations again, and thanks for being on.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you.